play fun.
These bullet ants are showing some worrying symptoms. Spores from a parasitic fungus called cordyceps have infiltrated their bodies and their minds. Its infected brain directs this ant upwards. Then, utterly disorientated, it grips a stem with its mandibles. Those afflicted that are discovered by the workers are quickly taken away and dumped far away from the colony. It seems extreme, but this is the reason why. Like something out of science fiction, the fruiting body of the cordyceps erupts from the ant's head.
אני יודע, מפחיד, נכון? נראה כמו משהו שמהווה חלק אינטגרלי בסרט אימה כמו הנושא השמיני, רק שהנושא הזה אמיתי לחלוטין. אבל עם כל הפחד והאימה שאופפים את העניין, ניתן לפחות להתנחם בדבר אחד, כפי שניתן לשמוע בהסברים ולראות בתמונות. שאנחנו, בני האדם, מפותחים מדי מבחינה אבולוציונית, כדי שידידנו כאן יוכל להדביק אותנו. אבל מה אם לא היינו?
Once upon a time, I had somebody that I cared about. And in this world, that sort of shit's good for one thing. Getting you killed.
הרעיון השאפתני הזה הוא שעומד בבסיס סיפורו של המשחק החדש של אולפן המשחקים נוטי דוג. אני רוצה לומר שמדובר במשחק זומבים, אבל מדובר כאן על משהו הרבה יותר גדול. משחק הישרדות אימה בעולם פוסט-אפוקליפטי. 4 תרמילים בלחץ, תחושת פחד מתמיד שתחליף את הרגשת הצבא של איש אחד, ורבבות של אויבים שיעבדו יחדיו, הודות לאחד מה-AI המתוחכמים והאחדים שנפגוש, גורמים לך מהר מאוד להבין שללא אסטרטגיה, שימוש בסביבה ושיתוף פעולה עם בת הזוג, הלא היא אלי, ההרפתקה הזאת ייגמר מהר מאוד לאחר שהתחילה. למרות שפרטים רבים בנוגע לעלילה, כמו גם לגבי הדמויות הראשיות, ג'ול ואלי, נחשפו כבר מבעוד מועד, בשלל טריילרים וראיונות עם צוות הפיתוח. IGN UK ערכו אתמול אירוע סיקור מיוחד, שמטרתו לחשוף עוד פרטים מסקרנים וצילומים שעדיין לא נראו, ממה שמאוד יכול להיות משחק השנה של 2013. אז מבלי להרחיב במילים, בואו נראה מה עוד טומן בחובו המשחק, שעתיד להגיע למדפי החנויות בעוד פחות מחודש.
Why would they mow down all these people?
Can't let everyone in.
So they killed them?
Dead people don't get infected.
It's kind of shitty.
And the core of The Last of Us is really about the bond between Joel and Ellie.
It can't be any worse than in here. Can it?
And that's kind of what this game circles around in a lot of aspects, is the contrast. And Joel and Ellie are truly like the center of everything inside of this game.
Definitely Joel and Ellie's friendship, relationship is something you would have in real life.
A hound in the distance is starting to bay.
And these are 2 survivors living in a world that has been decimated for 20 years by this pandemic.
Joel is a survivor who's basically been filtered through or strained through this tragedy, which is the pandemic that hits and decimates society. And any of the survivors who get through that kind of a tragedy or a situation are going to have a true transformation of character and who you are and where you draw your moral lines.
Hey.
There you are. Are you okay?
Whereas Ellie, who's 14 years old, so all she knows is this world after this pandemic. She's lived in this very isolated quarantine zone run by the military. She's seen people get executed for breaking laws, for stealing, for testing positive for infection. So unlike someone like us who would be horrified by seeing someone get killed or seeing some of these violent acts, she can kind of just brush them off because she sees them on a daily basis.
The journey basically takes these two people and propels them into a situation kind of beyond their control, and it's in circumstances that they didn't necessarily like ask for. But these two contrasting characters wind up together and outside of the quarantine zone, and this really opens up an opportunity to have these two characters play off each other.
Whoa. This is fancy.
You know, she's 14 in sort of this post-apocalyptic world, but she's not your average 14-year-old by any means.
You ever stayed at a place like this? Before it all went to shit, I mean.
I mean, she's a little bit feisty, but also she's more of an adult than someone would be used to, you know, a 14-year-old in our world.
Man.
What?
Nothing, it's just... I've never seen anything like this, that's all.
You mean the woods?
Yeah. Never walked through the woods. It's kind of cool.
In writing The Last of Us, it all started from this very high concept. Bruce, the game director, and I both worked on Uncharted 2. And there was this bit in Uncharted 2 that was really inspirational to us for this game, is this bit where you're with Tenzin, this Sherpa in Nepal that saves Drake.
Tenzin doesn't speak English, and Nathan Drake has to kind of fumble his way through this as Tenzin walks through the village, kind of showcasing almost like with pride of like, you know, these are his people and this is his village, and he's kind of the local village badass in a way is how we wrote him. And we thought it was really interesting to create that dynamic of somebody who doesn't speak the language and Nathan Drake trying to fumble, and you as the player controlling your way through that and kind of experiencing that.
And for that sequence, we really try to use gameplay and see how much of a bond, how much of a relationship we can build with gameplay over the course of just a couple levels. And we felt we were pretty successful with it. And then this idea came to be, I was like, well, what if we took an entire game and based it around this concept? So at the beginning of the game, these two characters meet, and they don't even like each other very much. And over the course of the entire game, you see this bond form, and it's formed like slowly, bit by bit at a time, that by the end of it, you're seeing greater and greater sacrifices that these two characters are willing to do for one another.
We want you to feel the changing of these characters and dynamically transform these characters over the course of this adventure.
Naughty Dog, we're known for our character-driven games, for our stories, and that's always been an approach. It's just with The Last of Us, we try to apply the same kind of principles, but to what we're saying is a survival action genre.
He's in here!
Naughty Dog wanted to give opportunities for the amazing, talented people we have in the studio to give them opportunities to basically flex their muscles and kind of like show off their skills. So we wanted to create a second team. The transition was really taking what Naughty Dog's known for in storytelling, character development, character action, and the marriage of gameplay and story, something I think that Uncharted really set the bar for, and we've all, as developers, learned a lot about that process.
Transitioning between games, especially when you're going from one IP to another, is pretty strange. One is because you're coming off a horrendous crunch where everybody pours their heart and soul into a game, and at the time it was Uncharted 2 for us. We had crunched really hard. We're really proud of what the final game that we put out there. And then it was time to start thinking about, well, we're going to do a new IP for Naughty Dog.
And we came out of No Country for Old Men, and I remember stepping out. It was like stepping out of a different world. I was in a different world inside of that theater, and it completely captivated me. And the tension in that movie, and it was palpable. And getting invested in the characters like Llewellyn Moss, and the reason why he's so subtle and so perfectly written, and I loved that character so much. And I knew that things were at stake because you also knew Antoine Chigurh as the enemy and what was up against Llewellyn Moss. And when you see this relentless threat coming after him, the tension that got created, and the stakes are so high. And we came out of that theater going like, I've never played a video game like that. Like, what if you could play that? Like, what would you, I want to play that game. We wanted to have an investment in the characters and an investment in the world. We wanted to create a grounded reality that you could truly believe in these characters and believe in that the stakes are high and have that same sort of tension, that palpable tension that came out of No Country for Old Men or City of Thieves, the novel, or The Road, the novel, and feel like I want these characters to survive. And the interactive medium video games truly gives us that affordance because as the player, we don't propel the story without our participation. And that participation comes with the actions of like trying to survive, scavenging the environment for supplies and like not knowing, like Joel knows, like around the next corner there could be anything. Death could lie around the next corner. At any turn, something's going to happen.
What the fuck? Oh, shit! He's got a gun! He's got a gun!
When it all comes together, it's pretty late in the process. I remember when we first were about to put the demo out with the Infected, and 2 weeks before that demo, it wasn't fun. And it's incredible how late in the process it all has to come together. Like for a long time, like you're going for this certain emotional beat, and that beat is not there, or you're going for a certain flow, and that flow is not there. And it's only once music and gameplay and the controllers are tweaked and the voice acting. For a long time, we used temp voice acting for people around the studio, and it's comical because none of it really works. And then you get the actors to give it that authentic take on the characters. And then the AI, we finally ironed out all the bugs out of it, and then it worked. And you get in this flow, and you feel the relationship between Joel and Ellie, and you're going from moment to moment, and it's just like, holy crap, it all came together. But it always comes together in the last second, and it's been like that on every project we've done at Naughty Dog. We really wanted to show this part of the game because this is where we started. This is the first area of the game we worked on. This is the first cinematic we shot with Troy and Ashley. And we really feel it captures the flavor of the game.
Now what?
Screw it.
Well, what's fun about the demo you're about to see is it shows, one of the big things that we want to get into is the different ways that humans survive in this world after society collapses, after supplies have run short, and like what are the moral lines that different factions of humanity, what do they cross? Where do they draw those lines to create an existence for themselves?
So the demo we're about to show is the bit where Joel and Ellie, they've been together for a few days now. They've managed to get a truck. They're trying to get to the west part of the country, western side of the country. And unknowingly they're driving into a city, Pittsburgh, that has been turned into a giant trap.
They basically have created a spider's web, so to speak, laid traps at different intersections and thoroughfares entering the city. So anybody that has to cross through Pittsburgh is unknowingly going to be snared by one of these traps. And Joel and Ellie, who have procured a vehicle from an earlier adventure, they're making their way across. And Joel has a suspicious feeling when he sees that the freeway is blocked off.
And these are the kind of people that behave very much in the way that Joel used to behave before he ran into Ellie. So he sees this coming. He sees the trap. It's a little too late. The ambush happens. But now you're going to see how Joel survives under a situation like this and how Ellie can help him.
You get to see like what happens to society after everything breaks down. And throughout Pittsburgh, you're going to get to see and explore more and more of what kind of lengths these people have gone to and kind of the darkness that they exist in. But also understand from Joel's perspective as kind of somebody who's shut down emotionally himself and has to cross his own sort of what used to be moral lines, he can kind of relate to them, and he understands, and he almost lays it out that it's like there's no real good or bad, and they've made the choices they have to make in order to survive. And later on, you're going to meet other factions and see like different perspectives that they bring to the journey.
What about the guy?
He ain't even hurt.
But we really feel like this area, this city, has kind of, it's more like what we call the fun and games of The Last of Us, if you could call it that, where you really see Joel and Ellie starting to bond, starting to come together, and having to do what they need to do to survive in this world.
Well, it's the main event. This is our live gameplay demo of The Last of Us with Bruce and Neil from Naughty Dog. Without further ado, here we go.
Hello.
Oh.
So this is going to be a familiar scene to anybody who's been following Last of Us, right?
Yeah, this is one of the first cinematics we put out there to kind of show people the game. And incidentally, it's the first cinematic we shot with Ashley Johnson and Troy Baker, who play Ellie and Joel.
Easy. Holy shit. Are we gonna help him?
Put your seatbelt on, Ellie.
Well, what about the guy?
He ain't even hurt.
And here we go.
So where are Joel and Ellie right now?
They've just entered Pittsburgh, which has turned into a giant trap where these people are hunters who kill other survivors in order to steal their supplies. So you're about to see these people want them dead. And one of the things that was important for us is that everybody's life is at jeopardy here. So you're about to see Ellie is going to get choked out by this guy, and it's up to you as the player to save her during this instance.
Motherfucker! What's wrong with these guys?
Catch your breath. We're leaving.
Okay. Watch out!
Stay down!
How long have Joel and Ellie known each other at this point in the game?
At this point, I think it's been a couple of days, actually. And the way you see this will play out, it can play out in very different ways. And in fact, the supplies Bruce has on him carries over from the previous sections of the game. So depending on how much you've scavenged, how much you've looked for stuff previously, changes how you would approach this setup.
So you've got a better chance of survival if you keep your eyes open for things you can use.
Yeah, or if you kind of engage with stealth and try to take out these guys quietly.
They seem to really know where you are.
Yeah, so this is using our whole new AI system that we've built for The Last of Us from the ground up. We really wanted, especially for the human antagonism, to coordinate, to surprise you, to think like human beings, and that you should feel like you're playing against essentially other people.
You gotta be close. Start looking.
And here you heard them, they're searching for you, so they've lost line of sight. So you can constantly kind of dip in and out of stealth as you're fighting these guys.
What was that that just happened there?
So Bruce used a little bit of what we call listen mode, which lets Joel kind of focus his hearing. And he did a takedown. So you could pick up bricks and bottles and throw them at guys to stun them momentarily, and then you can rush them and either take them hostage, or as Bruce did, just try to take them out.
I got him!
And you see the whole time Ellie's acting dynamically as well, so...
Ouch.
Yeah, as you're trying to stealth, as you're, whatever you're doing, Ellie's kind of following suit.
Keep him down.
And that's Bruce Straley, game director of The Last of Us.
Run it again, Bruce.
It's cool, you can just die in your own game, that's fine.
What could he have done better there, Neil?
He could, there's just different strategies he can apply. Running out in the open like that is probably not the smartest thing he could have done.
I'll search out here. You go check the alley.
So you can hear that a lot of that dynamic speech is they're going to call out specific areas where they think you are. And actually each one of the AI, the NPCs, have a certain memory. So they remember where they've searched and they're going to communicate that to one another.
So they can remember where you last were.
Yes, and they know where you weren't. As they're going around from the alley to the store, they know where you haven't been. You got this, Bruce. I believe in you.
You son of a whore! Get your hands off! Get this dude!
So you hear again the other NPCs reacting to you having taken one of them hostage. So it was important to us to humanize these guys and show that they really care for one another.
Surround him!
Nailed that guy.
So again, that's dynamic because Ellie hit a guy with a bottle earlier. She tells you that, and she knows when you've lost the guys and when it's the right time to tell.
I'm gonna find you. All right. I think that's the last of them.
Wait.
You okay? Good.
Great job, Bruce.
Hell out of here. You know the drill. Look around, see if there's anything we can use.
So that's it, right? After combat, it's time to look around.
Yeah, it's time to search for supplies. And again, that fight he could have stealthed that whole thing and taken guys out quietly without shooting a single bullet.
Is that way harder?
It depends on the setup. Some setups are much more difficult to stealth through. And then like the next few setups in Pittsburgh that you run into hunters, you could actually skip those altogether. You could stealth around the guys and leave the area without firing a single bullet. You can see he just found some parts where when he gets to a workbench, he can upgrade his weapons. And all the weapons have different types of upgrades for them.
What you find and how you craft it, as we're about to see, that does have a considerable impact on how the game is played, right?
Yeah, and depending, right, he could craft health kits, which you saw he was using dynamically in a fight. So at no point during the crafting or the upgrades or anything does the game pause. It's all happening live. And the idea was to try to maintain the tension. So as you think you're approaching the next setup, you're kind of trying to assess what the threat is going to be and accordingly craft what you think you're going to need for that fight. Or if you think during that fight you found kind of a quiet spot and you've lost the guys, you could craft stuff there on the fly, but there's always the risk of them finding you as you're crafting the object. And that's where Ellie comes into play, because as guys are rushing you, she's going to call them out, whether they're in front of you or behind you, or if she has a brick or a bottle, she's going to throw them at them.
Maybe we can go through here.
Thanks, Ellie.
We're seeing these beautiful urban environments at the moment.
See if you can
But there's more to it, isn't there? Like there's outside, for instance. I know Ellie reacts when she sees nature, right?
Yeah, the game takes place over the course of an entire year, and over that span of time, you're going from, you know, the wild woodlands area to cities to small town and a bunch of other stuff we haven't shown, but the game changes quite a bit over the entire course of it. And here you're about to see one of the optional conversations that the player can engage with Ellie.
Look.
Fucking hunters. See, this could have been us.
Man, that is a lot of people that didn't make it.
I knew I should have turned the damn truck around.
We lived.
Barely. Come on, let's get out of here.
Now the game is littered with these kind of conversations where you hear Ellie and Joel reacting to the environment.
How did you know?
Know what?
About the ambush.
I've been on both sides.
Oh. I'll take that as a yes. I guess this is where the assholes sleep. I mean, slept.
So Ellie's behavior here is all dynamic, where she stops, where she looks around. Sometimes she'll find supplies and give it to Joel. But there's a lot of systems in place for Ellie's AI, both in and out of combat.
So it seems you can find some already crafted, fully formed supplies.
Yeah, and everything we're trying to tie to the narrative. So here, because the hunters live in this camp, you find some stuff that they've already crafted and that they use. And here, as we walk outside, you see Ellie. She's going to spot the pile of bodies and react to it.
I don't think these guys were infected.
Well, it don't matter. Let's just keep moving.
And these things are littered, again, all over the place. Some are on the main path and some are on side paths to let you have all these additional conversations between Joel and Ellie.
All right. Here's the bridge. That's our way out of here. Hey, Ellie, slow down. Wait for me.
What? Right here.
How about you let me go first and keep your voice down?
Okay.
And that's the demo we're going to show today.
כאן חברים הגענו לשלב האחרון בסרטון שלנו, והסיבה שדווקא בחרתי בווידאו הזה של האלי אדישן זה מסיבה אחת פשוטה. The Last of Us עומד להשתחרר ב-14 ליוני, ועבדכם הנאמן הזמין לעצמו עותק של האלי אדישן שעתידה להגיע אליו יומיים לאחר מכן. אני מבטיח לעדכן בקטעי גיימפליי פלוס קומנטרי ברגע שהיא תגיע אליי ולשתף אתכם